So nice. I'm gonna kick off this meeting that has the purpose actually to validate the compendium that was written by the colleague from Aberta and reviewed by all of us and thought during the proposal by EDTU and other colleagues. So there is a lot of history behind, and yeah, I'm gonna give the floor then directly to Isabel, which I hope I pronounce correctly because I'm saying the Italian way. Yeah, I told you via email how this meeting will go. So we first get no, wait. You don't know who the advisory board are. So let's start with the round of understanding who is there. I do say to the advisory board represented by Liz, Aras, and Achille, that who did write the companion is and who present today is Isabel. So unfortunately, Isabel, I give you the floor later. So during your presentation, you can also have the chance to present you. The other colleague here, for matter of time, I don't give the floor to each of you. Apologies for that. But as you see, they represent, they are part of our project IncluDE. And I give the floor just to the advisory board to say just few words of who they are, how come they are involved in the advisory board, and then the floor to Isabel just to warm up the room. Sorry, the fact that you were not hearing me put me a bit out of the situation. So I go in order of computer visualization, but also ladies first. So Liz, the floor is yours.
That's a good start.
Yeah,
I forgot to unmute.
Try again, please.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
We don't hear
start.
you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah?
No.
No?
You do? Why can I not hear her? I don't hear her.
You can't hear me, Alessandra.
That is odd.
I
Can
can.
you put your audio?
So do I.
I think I have problem with my audio. Okay, try again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Sorry, it was my computer setting. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Good morning, everybody, and nice to see you all. I know quite a lot of the people on this meeting, but those of you who don't know me, my name's Liz, and I was formerly PVC at the Open University UK, and I'm also a former president of EADTU and vice president a couple of times. And I'm currently a fellow at the Centre for Online and Distance Education at the University of London. And very pleased to be joining this advisory board because I was involved in the earlier work around inclusion and access with the EADTU. Nice to see you, Isabel.
Yeah.
And I know I could go around the screen, so I won't. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, there is a history of course, so, but sorry if I don't give the time, but we probably can do this. I mean, I really enjoy to chit chat, but we need to be conscious of time. Thank you, Liz, and yes, you are a hero for us, and also Achille and Aras. So I give the floor to Achille first, just because I'm following the screen. And alphabetic order also. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you and meet you. For those that I haven't met before, I'm a professor with Hellenic Open University in Greece. We are partners in IncluDE project, and I was also a member of the working group on the task group on inclusion of EADTU. I'm also a member of the Gender Equality Committee of my university, and I'm leading also the work package on widening participation and inclusion on the Open EU Alliance, in which our university is a partner.
Thank you, Achille. So, Aras, I saw your message on, so we take advantage you are still here in case maybe Hassan can also introduce himself in case you need to go, then he can take the floor.
Yeah, okay. By the way, hello everyone. My name is Aras Bozkurt. I am the Dean of Open Education Faculty. And Hassan is the Vice Dean of the Open Education Faculty. We are working together. Sorry, there is another meeting I have to attend in person. That's why, probably I will leave 30 minutes later. Happy to be among you.
Thank you, Aras. Thank you for taking the time. And maybe, Hassan, you want to say a few words because probably you will talk at the end. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, and good morning, everyone. My name is Hassan. I am an associate professor of distance education and working at Anadolu University Open Education faculty. As Aras said, I am the Vice Dean of the Open Education faculty, and I am taking part in European projects as well. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you to all the members of the advisory board present today. There are some apologies, but you will see in the agenda would have been needed to come. The one that really apologized this morning was Joseph, but they will send the information via mail. So Isabella, we will have the chance to look at them and see what makes sense to integrate. If there is anything that they want us to change or not. So I give then now the floor to Isabel Diaz from Aberta. The floor is yours, and I hope you can also share screen. Let me just quickly check that everybody can do. Yeah, please, the floor is.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thanks a lot for your time and for being here and for having read the companion that the team has done, and for all the comments that you'll do. I'm going to share a screen with a PowerPoint about the process that explains the process that we undertook. So let's just. So these are I'm just going to get.
We see correctly, Isabel.
You
Thank
see
you.
correctly? Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So there is here is the elements about the program, about the project. These are the objectives, all the objectives, and I have highlighted the one we are talking about today, which is the companion of principles and recommendations, composed of guidelines on inclusion, equity, and diversity from various policies and frameworks. And we proceed. This is about the work package 2, which is what I'm presenting here, the companion. Our task was precisely to create this companion of key concepts that would be applicable in higher education and lifelong learning. We had a definition of both principles and recommendations. Principles as overall policy strategies and pedagogies, and recommendation as specific suggestions aimed at improving or enhancing the present situation, and especially offering actionable measures to achieve inclusivity. And this is what we were looking for. This is the agenda of this presentation. About the planned tasks, you know the project. What we had to do was first of all to review, make a state of the art, to review research, to review general documents, EU, OECD, UNESCO, and so on, to find out what are the general policies, then to have an idea about how these policies were made, were put in action. We had to examine the innovative practices that were studied in research work. And then create this companion of principles and recommendations. We are now at the stage 2.6, which is the validation of the companion by the expert group of the advisory board. Passing on to the timeline, we had first the resource collection, the first version of the companion. Then we had an extra peer review, which helped us to integrate some suggestions. Now we are having the meeting with the advisory board, and then until the end of the year, we'll have to have the final version of the companion. What we already did. First of all, our work organization was as follows. We asked all partners to look for documentation and to identify literature in points 2.1, 2.3, and 2.4, which are legislation, university and educational legislation and recommendations, and scientific production in each country, because no one better than the partners would know what is being done in each country. The Portuguese team, besides doing the same for Portugal, we also concentrated in general documentation. Since we were leading this work package, we felt that we should take on our hands all the most global tasks. Then literature review was built. And it was made available at the SharePoint, and all the partners contributed to this to make this literature review. This is the matrix for the literature review that was built. Alexander was kind enough to send us an example, and then we made this matrix, and we thought it would be we based it on the chapters on the EDTU book that was earlier mentioned that was produced by the task force, because we thought that the chapters on this book were thought of by a wide number of experts, and it was widely discussed. And frankly, we thought it was a good division that was there, and we thought we should work based on that previous work. So we had. This is the example. We provided the partners with the abstract, keywords, link, and then with the various kinds of recommendations on social inclusion, digital accessibility, functional disabilities, specific learning disorders, migrants and ethnicities, gender, prisoners, army and athletes, and finally some questions on the study methodology. This was the matrix review of the literature. About the challenges we encountered while producing the companion, first one was how to organize it. On the one hand, we had to encompass different scales, principles and recommendations with macro, meso and micro levels. And on the other side, we considered precisely the thematic divisions that had been made in the book that was the result of the task force. It was appropriate, very appropriate. So we decided to work on top of this work. This was discussed both with the project coordination and the leaders of work package 3. Another challenge we encountered was the style to use. We had to determine the different degrees of concreteness of the information in the companion, and think what would be the best way to make this work in order to help the next work package. And then we also had to deal with sometimes some vagueness of several entries in the literature review and the concreteness of other entrances and the value of the book and the site, the diversity and inclusion in digital education for European universities. So we adopted the style of presentation of the state of the legislation, both general and per country, in the macro level, in the meso level for some operationality among universities, and finally, in the micro level, we thought the best was to ask questions so that universities could ask themselves these questions in order to assess them themselves. So we got to the first version of the companion, which was as follows. We had an executive summary, introduction, general framework, procedures, and methodology, explaining how it was done, and finally key concepts and internal organization of the companion. It is organized in two main parts, one much larger than the other. Because there are much more information on one and more general than on the second one. The first on social and academic inclusion. We had in both of those wide chapters, we have an initial chapter very general on policies and initiatives and general principles, and then we follow with very slight adjustments the chapters of the task force book, subdividing each one in the various levels that we were supposed to use. So we have, and then the second chapter is on digital accessibility, and of course references. We after doing this, we went through a process of peer review. It was not a blind peer review. We knew who was peer reviewing us, and the peer reviewers knew that we were being reviewed. And this is the review template that was sent to them by the EADTU. And the evaluation report had an overall positive appreciation. And in the at every point, the reviewers sought to provide suggestions to improve the companion. As they said, they aimed to strengthen the transferability, political impact, and practical applicability of the companion, consolidating it as an European and above all a global reference. I have here a table on the comments and on the reply we did to the various comments about structure. They said it would be interesting to have a guiding question at each point, and that was done. After the macro level, we inserted questions that would make a bridge to the various meso level sections. So they suggested that we should synthesize more the legislative references and be more critical about them. And that suggestion was partially accepted, because on the one hand, we knew we had to make a state of the art about what is the legislation going on. And we didn't think we could be critical, but this is not the place to be critical. It's not an essay, an opinion with our opinions. We are supposed to state what is being done and to state what should be done. I think the readers can be critical when they read what is being done, but I don't think we should, in this kind of document, be criticizing. About the level of detail, this was they asked to reinforce some distinctions, and that was underlined in the introduction. Also to reinforce examples, because there are uneven chapters. We reinforce some examples, but the unevenness of some chapters also depends on the literature we had access to. And also there are some situations are different, and some require actions that can be more synthetically explained than others. And I believe that that is something that we cannot modify to make all chapters equally large. It wouldn't be the best action. About terminological consistency, yes, and we thank a lot our reviewers for talking about this, because there were some divergences. Sometimes when we were working with the various papers and various documents, we tend to use the expressions that are on those documents, and that should not show up in the document like this. About the impact, yes, the suggestion was partially accepted. About the success indicators, I believe that is a work that will be done in work package 3. So we did not introduce that aspect. About the state of the art, there was a suggestion to expand reference to extra-European experiences, and that suggestion had to be rejected, because this is an European project, so we must stand on European elements. Nevertheless, it is a very good idea for further projects. About the challenges, I think that could articulate with the question that were integrated in the document. About the resource, they asked us to indicate more explicitly the contribution of each partner, and we believe that is described also in the introduction. Concerning scalability and scalability and comprehensiveness, they aimed at the same question, that we should specify which sorry for my dogs, for the what kind of institutions this and what kind of courses should be thought of for each kind of recommendation. This was accepted in some places where we stressed when some specificity were pertinent, but sorry. Sorry. But the fact is that this companion focus much more on the situations of the students and what should be done, how to deal with those situations, rather than the kind of institution, if it's public or private, if it's small or larger scale, if it and if it is lifelong learning or a very or a specific course, a degree. That's a type of point of view that was adopted in the one that was adopted in the document. And this is the stage where we are. And so we just thank you for your further suggestions for improvement. And thank you a lot for your attention. Now share the sharing.
Oh, love it that you're using the emojis. Nice. Thank you indeed, Isabel, for a very detailed and on-point presentation. I mean, there has been some overlapping because, of course, the advisory board received the proposal, but I think was missing. They didn't know all the procedure, so it's very good to refresh that. To let you also know what has happened behind the scene to you, include colleagues, I did send to the advisory board members also another of these indicators to actually validate the compendium. So I want to clarify that indeed the indicator that Isabel has shown are to review the compendium, and they were sent to this external colleague that indeed they knew who we were, and but that it doesn't mean that the quality is less. So actually, and then I would like now to pass the floor to each of the advisory board members that want to say something. And it's okay if you refer to the other indicator, absolutely. But we will do then a work together in a Padlet, probably you saw the agenda, using the indicator that Isabel has also shown. But if that doesn't work or we don't have time, we are fine with the information that you give us now. So I don't know if in this case the floor has to go again to ladies. So I just say who feels to talk first. I give you the floor. I don't want to. I give the chance to you to take the floor. You, I mean, Lisa, Kile, or Hassan. Liz is brave enough to go first.
No, I was only going to say, did Aras say that he had to leave early?
I didn't get you. Sorry, you need to leave early.
No, I did Aras say that he
Others
might
need to leave earlier. Yeah, so that's why Hassan is here. But he also sent everything already written. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I'll start. First
Yeah.
of all, I need to say that it's always really much easier to go in and comment on a document that somebody else has produced, and the production of the document is the hardest part. So if I'm trying to give feedback that's constructive, and it's not diminishing the amount of work that has gone here at all. There's a huge amount of work. There's some fantastic content in this. I obviously came to it quite late because I was a last minute addition, Alessandra, to the advisory board. So I've been trying to catch up. But a couple of general comments. One of the problems with looking at policy at national level is that it has a terrible habit of changing, and it changes frequently in some places, very frequently in others. So if you look at the UK, I was just trying to count how many education ministers we've had in the last 3 years, and it's not quite in double figures, but it's not far off. So of course that means that policy changes regularly. So trying to keep something up to date when you're doing a piece of research or literature review is quite challenging. So there's just one example in there that I would mention. I have made a lot of notes and I will share those with you later, but the one example is in Wales, the Funding Council example that's mentioned there. That Funding Council doesn't exist anymore. It was replaced in 2024 with a different regulatory body which has different policies and procedures. So that's where I say it's because things change so fast. it may be necessary to keep this a live document so that the things can be updated, if you see what I mean. So that's just one thing about currency. I'm really grateful for that description of the process, because that's helped me to understand the structure a lot better. And I wonder if the compendium needs to have more of that description at the start, so that it's clearer how that structure came about. Because I knew what was in the book from the task force, so I recognized the categories, but I hadn't appreciated that task force where it was driving the structure of the report. And the matrix activity in relation to literature review, again, I think is would be a really useful addition, because it will show the readers where everything has come from. In terms of the structure, I think the idea of principles and recommendations is great, but I think, and I like the idea of framing the recommendations as questions, but that being the case, they're not framed as recommendations. So I think it just needs an explanation that the recommendations are actually presented in the form of questions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. So and I think that would help, particularly in what I mean. There's so much there. There are so many questions relating to recommendations about good practice that I think it might be a good idea to organize them maybe around themes. So particularly in the digital inclusion section, to think about the themes like social, technical, curriculum design, and organize them around that, because there didn't seem to me to be a logic to the way that the questions stroke recommendations were presented. I think if it was just organized around sub-themes, and then even just in alphabetical order, you know, have the key points in alphabetical order, and then it just makes it easier to read. So I'm thinking forward to work package 3 and people using this compendium in order to create the framework. It'd be great if they could just take those key headings from the recommendations and the questions and convert those into the framework. So I'm just thinking forwards in terms of how useful it is. So I'll stop there for now, because those are my initial impressions. There's a few comments that I've got around the ordering. Sometimes I think a meso level has crept into a macro level, and there's just a couple of like TAMK, that's a university strategy rather than a national strategy, for example. Just checking my other notes. No, I think I'll leave it for that. I hope that's helpful as a starting point, but it's just when I came to read it completely fresh, without any knowledge of the, you know, how the projects had been run or what had been done before, apart from the task force work. So I was coming at it as a completely naive reader, and just felt in order for it to be useful to the people you want it to be, it just needs those, I think, what was it? Signposting, maybe a bit more signposting in the document that explains to people how they can use it. But as I say, there's so much in there, and it is really good. And I'm incredibly impressed with the amount of stuff that you found. But just in terms of making it easier to read and easier to follow, I think there could be a little bit further amendments. So is that okay, Alessandra, for now?
Absolutely. And so if I have to summarize for the understanding also for myself, so first of all, if we would need to give validation, I would say is a yes from you. There are some remarks on further improve the document that are related to the methodology that needs to be further explained, as well as the structure, how things are presented, which is something that can be embedded in the introduction, supposedly. Or we see, Isabel, how we can do it. I'm, of course, available. And we even, because now that you said it's something that we could even highlight it with some graphic things. So like this is a recommendation, for instance, that is coming to my mind, a very easy to understand sign that could be the light, like yeah, something like that, or something else that come to you. I'm happy with anything. It is a very short summary of what Lisa said, but I think is correct. Lisa, do I miss something? No. Okay. That's very helpful, I think. And Isabel, do you want to comment, or other colleagues, do you want to comment something?
I just want to thank Liz, because this is very helpful. As she said, she will look at it with these naive eyes, which is what we need, because when people are writing, we are writing what's on our heads. We need somebody else to read and say, this here it's not so much understandable. Please explain, guide the reader. Thank you, really, very much, Liz. Thank you so much.
Yeah, indeed, that I think is the logic also behind this. You need somebody external, but still with expertise that can indeed drive to a better path, which was already. I also agree with Liz. Was already a lot of work developed there. So thank you to all the team. Actually, I need leave the floor now to Akile or Hassan. Akile, you're first in my screen.
Okay, thanks, Alessandra.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations for this document. It contains and summarizes and completes everything that we have been doing here and there for the past year, so it can very well be a reference document. Of course, this should be a live document, as it was mentioned. Of course, it can be improved, but I think we have an excellent starting point. I have, and thank you also for your presentations, which helped me understand a little bit better, because I admit I read the document only once until now. So my plan is to read it again, more detailed, let's say, in a more detailed way now, and send you back some more detailed comments. But I already wanted to make some observations. The first is concerns the text on page 3. It says that the expected relevance, the last paragraph, the expected relevance and impact of this work is to empower the higher educational institutions to identify barriers, implement inclusive strategies, and foster equitable learning experiences. So I want to understand, or it should be made clear, whether this is a document that addresses the strategy of the university, or there are also recommendations for operational things that have to be implemented, because these are different levels, or also whether it has to address also some of the processes. So is it what are we talking about? The decision-making level, the planning level, or the implementation level, or all levels? And in that sense, it would help if the recommendations could be somehow differentiated in this respect, because these parts are addressed to different people in a university, and nobody, at least in my university, is going to read a document of 60 pages. So this would help perhaps also with a summary at some point. Then another similar suggestion I have, well, okay, we all know that universities are very complex organizations, but here this document is not only collecting everything that is and has to be done, but also it will be used as a mechanism, as an instrument for change in the university. So this is what we want in the end, no? We want the university to take this document and start changing towards something better. But there are different aspects that need to change in the university, and each of these aspects require different kinds of recommendations. For example, we need to change the mentality for some of these, maybe for all of the groups that are at the risk of inclusion. We need specific recommendations for this, what to do to change the way people think. We need to change also perhaps some of our teaching practices or some administrative processes or the campus itself. I don't know. There are different levels that need to change, and also grouping the recommendations in that way perhaps could help making them more applicable. So these are two, let's say, generic, overall general suggestions I would like to make. Then I wanted to bring to your attention that the OpenEU University Alliance has delivered now the IGEP, the Inclusive Gender Equality Policy and Plan. And perhaps you could use it as another reference document in your work. It also contains, it doesn't contain recommendations, it contains some things that need to be done, and strategic objectives and operational objectives and so on. But anyway, it's a deliverable of a European University Alliance, an official deliverable in which most of us participate. So it would be good to reference it and try to see how it fits into this picture. Then I noticed that most of the document focuses on the students, trying to make to arrive at an inclusive environment, mostly for the students. I would like to see if it's possible, if there can be added here the perspectives of the teaching staff and the administrative staff, because also the teaching staff can be people with special needs or people with low digital skills. It may sound surprising, but we have such cases in our university. Now we're going to hire about 20 people with special needs by Greek law and for the administration of the university, and we're trying to reform the entire campus so that these people can work there in equal terms as the others. I see that these two aspects, these two, let's say, pillars of the academic community are not so much in focus in this document. Perhaps we could make them, bring them a bit more to the scene. And the final two more things. One has to do with the administration. It is important also to mention that the administration processes must be, to mention here there, must be adapted, so changed, this is the word, changed to, so that they can be more inclusive in all these levels that we are talking about, not only the teaching processes. And finally, I don't know if it is possible, this is another general comment, I don't know if it is possible to prioritize or create a sequence of the recommendations. So if we, because universities have finite resources, they cannot do everything, and especially time, money, and manpower. So how are some of these priorities recommendations fundamental, where we should start from? Maybe to arrive at to implement one recommendation, we need to do something else first. Is it possible to have this kind of prioritization or chain of things to be done? If it's possible, it would be very useful, I think, for universities. From what to summarize, my recommendations at this point are mostly focused on trying to make this document more, let's say, applicable, more useful, more usable for universities in the shortest possible time. I will send you more detailed comments if I find any, okay? Because after my first reading, I don't have much to say, but the second reading maybe, and after this discussion, some things may come up on the content. Thank you.
I want to say probably, I don't know if the other are thinking, but with one reading, I will not be able to find all these things. Probably I have dyslexia, or I don't know, is a female thing, but I will not manage. So bravo, Achille, and thank you. They are really great comment. I just say I do like I did with Liz, and then Isabella, give you the floor. So if I would summarize what you are suggesting, so I take that the compendium as it is for content wise situation. Of course, as Lisa said, it could be said somewhere that the info there represent this momentum, because things change all the time. So it's good to put our shoulders safe, we say in Italian, and say that. But we could structure the recommendation connected to the target audience. So like this is good for students, this is good for leadership, institutional leadership, and so on and so far. And also could be possible to create also there, I think, a visualization of, must have when you have time. So first level, second level, third level for being inclusive. And we find the level that make easier the communication. But it's like, this is a must have, this maybe, and this really in the future. Eric, please take the floor if you want to say that is absolutely connected.
Yeah, I mean, as per the proposal, I think we agreed that we're structuring around what we've described as macro, meso, and micro, with macro being kind of national level, meso being institutional, and micro being the student facing. So that's what we described, that's what we structured, and that's what we are hoping to take into the development of the reference framework and the evaluation instrument. So I'm not sure in terms of the structure that's been recommended. Should our colleagues suggesting that we do away with our structuring of macro, meso, and be specific and say this is for university administration, this is for academics supporting students? Is that what colleagues are suggesting?
Please, Liz, if I would need to comment on this first, sorry, a second. I think they don't exclude each other. You can still leave the macro meso as it is. They are not being, let's say, rejected, but still make a more, considering the audience we have and the length of the document, if I understand Achilles correctly, a visualization, something, somewhere, we see how that's more forward, say this is applicable for that.
What is micro? Yeah. Bravo. What is within the meso? What is within the macro?
Exactly. I think I understand correctly, but I leave the floor to Liz.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Achilles, but I think what Achilles was saying was that it may be some prioritized actions. So rather than saying, oh, yes, macro, meso, and micro, that works fine, and having them focused on different stakeholder groups, that's also fine. But actually, because you can't do everything at once, maybe there are some things which you say must do, should do, could do, something like that within those categories.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, Achilles, but that was what I understood you to be saying.
Thanks, Liz. That was quite a good explanation. Adding also that some of these, the implementation of some of these recommendations may depend on the implementation of other recommendations before. So there is a need of sequencing here. Where do we start from to arrive at the end? And not only this sequence, but also the importance. What is importance to start from? Okay, for each university it may be different, but then also some universities have already implemented some of these things. If this is a roadmap, this document can be perceived as a roadmap to arrive at an inclusive higher education institution in the end by implementing all of these things. We need some guiding signs. This is what I'm trying to say. We need first to, each university should be able, by answering these questions, to understand on which part of the road it is now.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's
a
a long
mature-
road, but not, we don't start from the same point, all of us. So each of us will find itself at some point in the road, on the road, right? And then which path should we take to arrive at the end? What is the first thing to do? What is the second thing to do? Are there milestones? I mean, if you arrive here, okay, then you have to go to that level. This kind of prioritization and sequencing I had in mind. And okay, I take this because we designed a roadmap in the last years for STEAM education, and this is the approach we followed, and it looks it is very useful actually to know where you are and to know where to go and how to get there. The macro, meso, micro levels are fine because they are addressed at different levels of the education, let's say, context in each country, of course. But then inside this university, what do we do?
Isabella, any
Well,
to add?
thank you,
Yeah.
Achilles. I believe what Achilles said goes very much in line with what Liz just said. And I really appreciate, because we had thought about it would be better that we could just change, it's not the word, to organize information about highlighting what is more important and making a scale, but we didn't get to do that kind of organization. So I'm very grateful that you mentioned it, because that gives us the opportunity to rethink the items we have chosen, and to reorganize them, considering different publics, also the staff and the administrative and teachers. Is of course that also in many things also apply to staff, and we just have to say it and to make it more clear. So thank you. Thanks a lot for your thoughts. And
Thanks, Isabel, for saying
pertinent.
this. I mean, when I was reading this, I had in mind, if we wanted to bring Hawking to our university, would that be possible? The answer is no.
Mm.
He couldn't teach in Hellenic Open University because of all the barriers that the system and the university will put in a person like this. And it's now that I read the document, it came to me as a surprise that we don't have any people in the teaching or in the in the teaching or in the administrative staff that belong to any of these categories.
Mm. Yes. It's just like when we set the table and we forget to put the plate for ourselves.
That was a really nice metaphor. Okay.
Yeah.
Alessandra cannot understand this because the Italians would never do it, but okay.
I will eat first also. No, no, it's not true. I often do that because I feed all the other. We are feeder women, Italian women. But yeah, this is not the point. But nice metaphor indeed. And yeah, it's not that easy to be inclusive. It's not at all. And I'm glad we are doing this. And with that note, I leave the floor to, unless there is more to add, sorry. Everybody is happy? Go forward. I give the floor to Hassan. Unless you want me to show what Aras sent, up to you.
Okay, thank you, Alessandra. And Isabel, thank you for your presentation. Actually, I haven't read the report because I think it didn't share it with me. So I don't have substantial comments like Achilles or Liz. But if it's okay, I can comment based on the presentation.
Yeah, I would say, Isabel, do you have any problem with that?
Well,
No.
and
Yeah.
later, if you could share the report with me, I can give my
Absolutely.
written comments as well. Actually, regarding to this report, I think it has a strong foundations of evidence based on these work package, I think you established a good compendium that integrates both the policy level frameworks and practical innovative case studies. I think this approach strengthens these compendiums, and it gives credibility and usability of the report. And you have a balanced style as you combine both macro, meso, and micro level of assessment on these report. And I think it's critical because it can serve multiple aims to multiple audiences like policymakers, institutions, and practitioners as well. But regarding to my suggestion, maybe you can develop a checklist or an instrument like a toolkit from this compendium. This can be directly usable by the partners and for us as well. And regarding to this compendium, actually, maybe it can be created an online repository for a detailed case studies with the challenges, lesson learned, and other narratives as well. And maybe this compendium, it can be more interactive. It shouldn't be like a static report. It can be a dynamic one. So we can, for example, all the time check it, and maybe we can maybe adopt the new guidelines from different contexts or new contexts as well. So yeah, and maybe these kind of studies can be a longitudinal ones, because during the project, maybe it can be developed a mechanism for monitoring how the partner institutions can apply for this compendium, and maybe we can track changes over time as well. And all in all, maybe this report, by combining the principles, recommendations, and the innovative practices into this study, it looks both strategic and practical. And my comment is just all for now. As I said, I haven't fully read the report, but if you share it with me, I will be happy to give written comments as well. Thank you, Isabel.
I go then, like I did with the other. Thank you, Hassan, and thank you for giving this useful information. Just put it on spot like that. I really appreciate it. I, of course, will send to you the document also for you to know what we are talking about. And but I will agree with Isabel on the deadline, because, of course, you heard the previous comments, so there is some work still to do, and we have a deadline, unfortunately. So at some point we have to stop gathering information. But absolutely, I think we can make something that works for everybody. I just want to, I put again the hat of the coordinator, which I had already. We will do a monitor, we have said. So we have here our colleague from Fernuni, Desiree, is in charge of that work package. That is the number 4. I can send you also the proposal of the project. So we will have a monitor of inclusive education, let's say like that. And so therefore, this is really food for that, but there will be further work for that. And I see Eric nodding. We will develop, and Eric is in charge of that together. Of course, I'm always involved. A framework for inclusive education, and absolutely the idea was work package 2 with the grade great job done by Alberta and the whole team will create the starting for something that can be further useful as a tool, a framework. But absolutely, I take what you are saying, all of you, and we could still make some visual out of this. That is always something that the dissemination can do. What you said gave me a lot of ideas. So we could put something on the website that is not the monitor because it will be done, but something that easy to understand, easy to grasp immediately, and of course the compendium, which we know unfortunately when they see a lot of pages they stop at the executive summary often. So, but we try not to let them do that. I wanted just to add to what Hassan said. The comment from Aras were very positive. I sent to them, look, I shared the screen just and you see yourself, but I don't remember, Isabella, if I sent it to you, but just for the sake of transparency, this is the scale I was talking about before that was different compared to the, sorry, the computer is stuck a second. Yeah. Is different than the indicator that the reviewer or the compendium have used it. The advisory board got this one. So it's like a different dimension. It's not, of course, like extensive, but yeah, we needed to start it from something. So you, on a scale from 1 to 5, you see you got pretty much all 4 and 5, Isabel. Only the 3, that is something we have discussed. It is probably connected with what we just said and was pointed out by both Lisa and Achille. So we can, of course, ask Aras to further elaborate on that. And so therefore, we'll follow up after this meeting on some detail on how we go further about it. But so far, all useful, very useful information and comment. But at the same time, I see that there is nobody that say, oh, this compendium needs to be redone. So I consider this a validation. I want to ask Isabel if there is anything that you want to ask to Hassan or comment further. Let me know.
Well, I want to thank Hassan for what he said. I took good note of his intervention. Of course, all the part on making it this a live document, this is beyond our capacity, but as you said, Alessandra, probably there can be somewhat of a summary or something like that embedded in the web, so that and that could be maintained and actualized whenever that is necessary, I suppose. That could respond to this wish that we see that which is a pertinent wish because things keep changing. That's a fact. So
Yeah, but I think the monitor is more in that.
probably yes.
Yeah.
We'll do that part of the live document. Yes, and this is the basis of a building.
Absolutely. That also was why is at the starting. So thank you, Isabel, and yeah, I see you close the phone, so it is no more need for you. Okay, so I see we are ahead of time. We of course I have a plan to. So the idea was that we will have 6 reviewer that were the people invited, but by the time we arrived at the date, they were forfeit for different reason. So you will get, Isabel, a comment from probably Hassan, but I put you on pause. I thank you, Hassan, but there is otherwise too many comments to address for the deadline. But I come back to you on this. But Joseph, that was part of the invite, has produced something and will send you his written comment next week. You probably have seen the mail coming. So we did prepare also a Padlet, because if we were more, probably a Padlet would have helped mitigate that. But I don't see the reason to go there, because everybody has at the floor. I want, of course, to be sure that you also are okay with that. And from my opinion, we gathered all the information we needed. So, of course, also there is the chance for you, Liz, Achille, Hassan, to further then come with a written form, let's say, if you think it's appropriate. Otherwise, for my side, I feel fine with what we got so far, and I don't have any problem to finish earlier. But of course, I want to share. I want to know what you think. You all.
I am fine with what you suggest, Alessandra.
Yeah.
Apart from the comments, I will send you also the inclusive gender equality plan of OpenEU. I don't know if you have access to it, so that you can forward it appropriately. And yes, then I will send you the comments as well. But I'm fine with what you suggested.
Thank you, Achille. Eric?
Yeah, I was just going to make that request to Achilles. So thanks for offering to send it to us, so we have a look at what it kind of get and understand what it looks like. Because we're now moving into, so a lot of your comments, some of your comments focus on the framework, evaluating where the university is and all that. A lot of that is in work package 2. So it'll be sorry, work package 3. So it'll be good to see what you've done there as we move into work package 3. My question more is to you, Alessandra, and the rest of the team, to make sure that we have a shared understanding of the feedback that has been given. Can we wait till our meeting next month, or we will have to do some bilaterals, etc., before that, so we can work together to support Isabel and the team as it's now moving? Because I think a lot of that detail will be very helpful as we move into the next work package. So I don't know what the plan is. Can it wait till we meet in Brussels, or we'll have to do all that before Brussels?
I mean, we meet in person, and the idea of having the advisory board before Brussels, before the deadline, was also if something would have come really significant, then we would have achieved that in person, address that in person. I would say for the comment that we have, they are not structural. I mean, they are for the structure, to improve the structure, but they are not fundamental, which I'm happy with. So I think the companion can be considered validated as it is for the content inside. Of course, addressing very smart also for our own sake information, like guys, these are info there at the moment, capture literature and law change every time, policy as well. So those key information needs to be added and are very important. Also, the other comment are about the structure. So I think Isabel and I can meet maybe to see how to proceed if she needs support, and then inform you about it. From an EDTU point of view, this recording will be used for writing the validation process of this compendium. And I take advantage that you are here, you partner, but also the advisory board member, in case something, I don't know, sometimes we don't hear well the audio or some other reason, I might ask you to help me write down the specific part. So I'm glad you have your written note, because then we have like a blueprint what we identify. Of course, the written and more comment are welcome, but as I said also before, at some point we have to stop collecting the feedback, because otherwise we don't manage to address them. So I would say give us the time in the next couple of weeks to further derive from this recording what is need to be addressed. We make a plan, Isabel and I, and that plan probably I think will be presented during the meeting. But if it's earlier, we do in written form. There is no need to have another online meeting because we meet in Brussels. And I'm taking a bit more time because, it's also advertisement moment. We have the EDTU conference really almost tomorrow. So I think it's better to address what we have now, and then won't be possible for the second week of October and the next one to do actually a meeting for my side, because there is first the conference and we are dead recovering from it. But of course, also is all in the Netherlands. So I think
That's fine. Yeah.
And for the visual, maybe we also come with some idea. I have some that I will write down, but I won't promise you I'll manage before the meeting in Brussels to come with the production of that visual, because it is not feasible from the agenda I have ahead. That's what I'm saying is okay for all guys. Okay, so in principle, we will have a wrap up of what is being said very fast and very furious for this, and then the more detailed things to be addressed by middle next month. And then at the meeting per se, we will go more in detail. And if something there is to be addressed more fundamental, of course, we have a workshop or something, we work together on that. So if you are okay with it, I'm gonna close the meeting. If there is no further, how you say, nobody is opposite to that. I think we are all happy. In some places it's already lunchtime. So, Aquila, is lunchtime for you? For me, it's always lunchtime.
Not yet.
No. Are you in Brussels? Where are you?
Lecce.
Sei a Lecce? Oh, easy in my
Certo.
hometown. Oh, you man. Okay, okay. What is the weather?
Bellissimo, very beautiful.
Not bad. It's close. It's nice. Okay, nice. Very jealous of you. And no, we will meet in Brussels instead at the end of October. That is not that nice weather, but it's very easy location to reach. That is very nice. Yeah. So on that note, I stopped the recording because I was still recording this stuff.